Hello, my name is Winifred Bradley. Many people believe that organic food is better for them and their families, but the cost often deters them from purchasing it. I have long been an advocate of organic foods, and I want to share a rewarding way to feed your family organically. A recent Reuters poll found that 58% of consumers prefer organic foods over conventional foods if they're given the choice. The numbers are highest in the young and educated segments of the population, with 63% of respondents under age 35 choosing organics when possible. But does that mean that we're buying more organic than conventional foods? Not necessarily. While Americans are concerned with toxins and want to support local farmers, cost seems to cause them to often make different choices. Consumers are hesitant to buy organic because it is more expensive. According to the NPR, a majority, 54%, say organic food is too expensive. And after price, the second most common reason they prefer non-organic food is that it's more readily available. Since the majority of people believe that organic food is better for them and for the environment, but are deterred from purchasing it by the cost and unavailability of it, I believe that organic gardening is the solution. Grab a handful of soil from your vegetable garden. Has it been drenched with herbicides, insecticides, rodenticides, and fungicides that make it virtually sterile? Or does it have earthworms and insects and microorganisms living in it? If you want your soil to be full of life, you need to apply the principles of organic gardening. Organic gardening often involves improving the quality of your garden soil using natural biological substances. One of its aims is to foster an ecosystem in which plants are strong enough to resist pests and disease without adding synthetic chemicals. In countries where synthetic chemicals are commonly used in gardening, like the United States, interest in organic gardening is growing. Why? For several reasons. First of all, pesticide residue on fruits and vegetables pose serious health risks. To illustrate, the book Pesticide Alert reported that in the summer of 1985, nearly 1,000 people in several western states and Canada were poisoned by residues of the pesticide Tamik in watermelons. The Environmental Protection Agency has stated the following: laboratory studies show that pesticides can cause health problems such as birth defects, nerve damage, cancer, and other effects that might occur over a long period of time. However, these effects depend on how toxic the pesticide is and how much of it is consumed. Some pesticides also pose unique health risks to children. So what are the potential health effects of pesticides? The health effects of pesticides depend on the type of pesticide. Some affect the nervous system, others may irritate the skin or eyes. Some pesticides may be carcinogens. Others may affect the hormone or endocrine systems of the body. For these reasons, the federal government carefully regulates pesticides to ensure that their use does not pose unreasonable risks to human health or the environment. Another benefit of organic gardening is protecting the environment. Some pests have become so immune to repeated applications of chemical pesticides that scientists have had to develop poisons that are even more dangerous. These potent chemicals have been leached into the groundwater and have contaminated our water supply. According to the U.S. Geological Surveys, pesticide contamination of groundwater is a subject of national importance because groundwater is used for drinking water by about 50% of the nation's population. This especially concerns people living in the agricultural areas where pesticides are more often used, as about 95% of that population relies upon drinking groundwater for drinking water. Before the mid-1970s, it was thought that soil acted as a protective filter that stopped pesticides from reaching the groundwater. Studies have now shown that this is not the case. The U.S. Geological Survey goes on to say, quote, "Pesticides can reach the water table below ground from pesticides on crop fields. That leads us to ask just how concerned we should be about their presence in our drinking water. Certainly, it would be wise to treat pesticides as potentially dangerous and thus to handle them with care, end quote. My comment is, why do we need to use them at all? Another advantage of organic gardening is that less waste is dumped into our landfills. How is that possible? Food scraps and yard waste make up a considerable portion of our garbage. Instead of being thrown out, these organic elements can be piled up and allowed to decompose, turning into compost. Such a mixture may not be pleasant to think about or smell, but to a plant, it is like a gourmet meal. The earthworm is another asset in improving the soil in your garden. It tunnels deep into the ground, as far down as 12 feet, aerating the soil and bringing various minerals toward the surface, providing better drainage for water. In the process, it also leaves behind castings that, according to the book Step by Step Organic Vegetable Gardening, are 5 times as rich in nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium as the surrounding soil. These little workers can reduce or eliminate the need for chemical fertilizers. And what about garden pests? How can we get rid of them without using pesticides? Well, don't forget that pesticides kill off more than unwanted pests. They also eliminate such helpful organisms as earthworms and fungi. Instead of reaching for that Roundup, remember that toads can do what chemical pesticides do, but are garden friendly. A toad can eat more than 10,000 insect pests in 3 months' time, and they are not fussy eaters. Their diet includes such enemies of plants as crickets, squash bugs, tent caterpillars, army worms, gypsy moth caterpillars, and slugs. Birds are also effective at controlling garden pests. A house wren was observed eating 500 caterpillars and spiders one summer afternoon, according to the book Gardening Without Poisons. If you would like to invite a few wrens or other insect-eating birds to your garden, hang some bird food or nesting material in plain sight. Before long, you may well see that your invitation has been accepted. And did you know that there are many useful bugs? Many garden-friendly insects prey on the destructive ones. If you purchase ladybugs, for example, and release them into your garden, they will immediately look for their favorite food, aphids, which are the gardener's worst enemy. Praying mantis eggs can likewise be bought and placed in the garden. When the eggs hatch, the mantises will devour virtually every insect that dares to cross its path. Organic gardening can be challenging, requiring time and patience. To build your soil into a healthy state using compost could take many months. You may suffer setbacks, and when you do, you may be tempted to reach for that chemical spray. However, before you do, stop and think about the long-term benefits of avoiding chemical poisons. If you are patient, soon you may have a garden that produces tasty, organically grown vegetables that are less subject to pest and disease problems than others. And you will know that you are not feeding your family potentially damaging pesticides. So if you enjoy gardening and want to eat organic foods, why not try growing your own organic garden?